Stop scrolling. This is not hype, and it's not clickbait. What I'm holding is the official transcript from the February 4th Washington Ministerial, and it quietly changed the silver market forever. While retail panic sold the $70 dip, Vice President J.D. Vance stood in front of 50 world leaders and confirmed something massive. The free market for critical minerals is over. Vance proposed enforceable price floors, not suggestions, enforced automatically through tariffs. That means silver can no longer be crashed at will by paper markets. And here's what the media didn't cover. 2 days earlier, the White House launched Project Vault, a $12 billion strategic stockpile backed by $10 billion in export-import bank guarantees. The U.S. government just became the buyer of last resort for critical metals used in AI, defense, energy, and infrastructure. If you don't think silver, the most conductive metal on Earth, is central to that list, you're missing the math. For decades, silver lived in the shadows while gold got headlines. Why? Because a small group of institutions built massive short positions, suppressing price while industry consumed more silver than mines could produce. The paper-to-physical ratio today? 356 paper claims for every real ounce of silver. Imagine 356 people holding claim tickets to the same safety deposit box. And now the government just stationed guards to make sure that box never drops below a minimum level. Short sellers relied on one strategy: crash the price to cover lower to repeat. That worked because mining costs created a soft floor. Now that floor is gone. Instead, we have an artificial floor enforced by tariffs, backed by U.S. National Security Authority. Downside for shorts? Unlimited. Upside for holders? Still open. That asymmetry has never existed in commodities before. Silver demand isn't theoretical. E versus solar, 5G, AI data centers, defense systems. Every smartphone in your pocket contains silver, yet inventories are collapsing. COMEX down 70%, LBMA down 40%, Shanghai at decade lows. This isn't regional, it's global. Now picture a short seller who sold contracts expecting silver to drop to $40. Instead, the government enforces a floor at $55, $65, $75, whatever level tariffs require. They can't push price down, they must buy physical, but the physical isn't there, so they bid prices up, triggering margin calls, forcing other shorts to cover. That's how cascades start. Except this time, the U.S. government is standing between shorts and their exit. This isn't retail hype, this is federal policy. Vance explicitly referenced a 55-nation trade bloc controlling most global silver production. When you control the supply chain and install a price floor, you're not speculating, you're restructuring the market. 4 institutions currently hold 63% of the net short position in silver. 4. This just became a direct confrontation with U.S. national security policy. You'd expect headlines everywhere. But silence makes sense when you ask, who benefits from suppressed silver prices and who doesn't? We're now in the fog of war phase. The outcome is clear. The path is still unfolding. That's when information advantage matters most. Project Vault isn't symbolic. It's already oversubscribed. Participants include Google, Boeing, General Motors. These companies burn millions of ounces per year, and they're locking in multi-year supply at fixed prices. That's not speculation, that's panic procurement. If silver were abundant, they'd buy on the open market. They didn't, because it isn't. On January 1st, China implemented export licensing for refined silver. Exports collapsed. October, 660 tons. January, 115 tons. That's an 82% reduction. China refines up to 70% of global silver. This wasn't coincidence. It was coordination. Silver is ground zero because it cannot be substituted at modern performance levels. There is no alternative to silver's conductivity. Silver was designated a critical mineral in November 2024. That activates Section 232 authority, the same tool used for steel and aluminum tariffs. Every prior use of this authority permanently restructured its market. Silver is next. From 2020 to 2024, silver ran a cumulative deficit of 820 million ounces. That doesn't include classified military demand. At conservative estimates, total real deficits could exceed 1.6 billion ounces. ETF inventories have already been drained by over 300 million ounces. There is no buffer left. At today's ratio, silver should already be $150 plus. At historical averages, $200. At monetary ratios, $600 plus. Now add government price floors, export restrictions, multi-year industrial lockups, structural supply shortages. $1,000 silver isn't hype. It's math over time. If this kind of breakdown helps you see through the noise, make sure you're following my official account on X at AGAsianGuy. Hit like, follow, subscribe, so you don't miss what doesn't make headlines. When Vance spoke on February 4th, he didn't suggest policy. He announced the end of free pricing for strategic minerals. Silver sits at the center of AI, defense, energy, and infrastructure, and there isn't enough of it at current prices. The documents are public. The mechanisms are active. The exit doors are closing. The only question left is timing, and whether you position before the market fully wakes up.